While driving down any highway in Nebraska, one will notice the historical markers on the side of the road. I always notice the marker outside of Newport, Nebraska. My family is from Newport, and on my many trips in my childhood, I would see that sign and wonder what it was. This is what interests me in these markers. I would see them as I traveled all across the state. This historical marker was for Spring Valley Park, the first roadside rest stop in Nebraska. There are many others scattered across the state, over 500 of them. Needless to say, I can't tell you about each one, but I can tell you about the origin of these Nebraska historical markers, the process to create them, and the tours available. The large historical markers found at historical buildings on the side of roads and in front of important places can be traced back to the Nebraska State Historical Society, according to enebraskahistory.org. The first markers were the Oregon Trail markers between 1912 and 1914. They were created in a collaboration between the Nebraska Historical State Society and the Daughters of the American Revolution. Years later, in 1959, a law was passed to create a historical landmark council. This council worked to approve the markers, encourage sponsorship for the markers, and the Department of Roads would be in charge of installing the markers along the side of the road. The first historical marker was put into place on May 21, 1961. This marker tells a story and marks the place of Fort Atkinson. According to OutdoorNebraska.org, the fort opened from 1920 to 1927. It was the first fort west of the Missouri River. There have been many more stops created over the years. To create a historical marker, there is a process outlined on historynebraska.org. The first step is to identify the marker topic and research it. The second step includes filling out the preliminary marker application. In this application, there are many questions. Some of them include the place and land where the marker will go, the title of the marker, the description of the marker, the description that would be written on the marker, the address to which it would be sent, and why this is an important piece of history. There are also different signs. So the smallest sign is a 30 by 42 inch sign that costs $2,300. This one can only hold about 80 words. The second sign costs about $3,500. It's a 3 by 5 plaque that can hold about 170 signs. The third sign is a 5 by 6 sign with 180 words, costing $6,000. Many historical markers have been created using this process. There are over 500 historical markers around today. They are located all over the state. On History Nebraska app, one can see the app of all the historical markers, as well as the stories and the tours. These tours are groupings of similar historical markers. The major tours are the Lincoln Highway, the Lewis and Clark, the Path to Statehood, Native Americans, the Beef State, and the Conflicts and Military. The Lincoln Highway includes just about any point on the highway. This includes historical homes, old schools, towns, and cemeteries. The Beef State includes anything about cattle, ranches, and even today's beef industry. The Native American tour covers just what you would think it would, the history of Native Americans. The Western Trails includes towns and trails that were traveled, and the last two, the Lewis and Clark and the Path to Statehood, both cover exactly what you would think, their points. All of these markers can be found in the history of Nebraska. The origin of history markers, the process to create them, and the major tours offered by the app were all discussed today. I hope that you were able to make the trip across the highways to see these and you can find your favorite, just like I have.